7:36, time to zero in on business now. Our business editor, Mike Eppel, joining us this morning. And Mike, oil not looking good right away here.
Yeah, no, it's not actually, Ted, and you've got it down for the month of July by 20%. It's biggest one-month retreat certainly this year and in recent memory as the oil market collapse, we'll call it. Because let's face it, oil in the second quarter last year was around $103 per barrel. This year, it averaged about 57. Now we're down to 47 in the third quarter of the year. The implications from all of this, quite remarkable. We've seen earnings in this morning from the likes of Imperial Oil and ExxonMobil, numbers that were cut in half on a year-over-year comparison. And then you look at the Canadian economy and the numbers in from Stats Canada this morning. Our economy contracted for the fifth month in a row for the month of May. And it's on pace here for a technical recession. You cannot basically avoid the R word when you look at the results from StatsCan this morning. A 0.2% retreat for GDP, economic output. We're looking at the longest losing streak since the 08-09 recession. The energy sector was weak. Industrial output was down. The exports really haven't picked up as much as people would expect considering the low value for the Canadian dollar. So a lot of implications from that. Let's face it, we could see the start of a federal election campaign this weekend. And interestingly to note, the mood of the markets, more focused on what's going on in the United States because some signals there this morning point to wages and salaries basically stagnating in the second quarter. That hasn't happened since the early 80s, and lots of talk that the U.S. Federal Reserve, as much as they'd like to, should not raise interest rates in September. Something to watch. Government cash coming to the Ontario auto sector. I want to mention this because the federal government and Ontario, they don't always get along provincially and federally, but today they're teaming up to put some cash toward Toyota in southwestern Ontario. That has implications for the auto industry and exports and industrial output. And then we had out of the International Olympic Committee this morning the awarding of the 2022 Winter Games going to Beijing. Yes, they hosted the Summer Games in 08, and it's 2022, not much of a differential there. But at the same time, they can reuse some of the facilities that were used during the 08 Games. The problem for Beijing, they don't have a lot of natural snow in their mountains, which are about 50 miles away from the city. The other bidder, though, was Almaty, Kazakhstan, which did not put forward all that great of a bid. And a lot of the other contenders, Oslo, Norway, for example, they said, we don't want it. It's too expensive. That's something the IOC is going to have to deal with as they look for countries and cities to get on these games going forward. Just too darn expensive to host multi-billion-dollar Olympic events.
Yeah,
so,
no kidding.
There you go.
Very expensive to build all that infrastructure. All right, thank you, Mike. That's our business editor, Mike.
Have a good
Eppel.
weekend.
Hey, you too. Enjoy your long weekend, Mike. You can hear Mike, by the way, on 660 News here in Calgary at 26 and 56 after the hour.
BT's Market Report is brought to you by 660 News.